As the story rolls on, of course, with the former royal known as the Duke of York, Prince Andrew, things are really taking a darker and much so unsavoury twist, to put it mildly. And now the story goes that the former royal, alongside Sarah Ferguson, could end up in the criminal court. As ever, let me explain. Morning, chums. Nice to see you. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join me today. Welcome, one and all brand new subscribers. As ever, lovely to see you, and do take care of yourselves. A good friend of mine, by the way, over here in the United Kingdom, Kirsty Gallagher, a presenter that I worked with at Sky. She was, shocking story if you just see this headline. And good wishes to you, Kirsty. A lovely, lovely lady. We've hosted many events together. And she was just literally leaving work, and some guy out of nowhere, yes, we know what sort of guy, right, just banged into her and then knocked her down, kicked her and ran off. It's just, that's the world we're now living in, the lawless London that has been created, of course, by Sadiq Khan, and all these undocumented males that nobody has any idea for. Kirsty was just going about her business, doing nothing. Just going back to her car after work. Very frightening. And I don't know about you, Toms, but I often think it's not really the moment you get over. It's the after thing, isn't it? Suddenly you're walking back the same way again. Now you're looking back behind you all the time. You're just very, very nervous. Do you know what I mean? There lies your problem. What's interesting, I find, is this. With Prince Andrew, a similar thing is now evolving. And the problem that you have, as I pointed out, when His Majesty the King was recently in Lichfield, there was a huge turnout of support. And that was really nice and reassuring to see, because I've often said I do not believe it should be the fault of others why others then lose. It's not fair. Just because you're related shouldn't really matter. But as I told you recently, behind the walls of Windsor, things are starting to dramatically fall apart. This is because both Fergie and Andrew are at loggerheads as to what direction they should go in. Now, I've always sort of been the belief, and if you've watched the channel for a long time, my argument is that there has been no official papers served to the former royal known as Prince Andrew. He refutes all of those claims. Now, a lot of people get upset because when you say that, they go, but these are facts, right? This is not just play with headlines and trying to get clicks. These are the facts. The other facts are that Virginia Giuffre, sadly no longer with us, well, in her book, for instance, her story has changed dramatically from time to time. Again, people don't want to know that. And what's really enlightening is the fact that she highlights a former Prime Minister who she claims also abused her, but didn't name him. Now, again, you have to say the question, then why are you naming one person but not the other? There lies the bigger question to me. You see, because if you're going to do this and be a proper expose, then you have to be honest and truthful. So consequently, now the axe is hanging, if you like, over somebody that may or may not be guilty. You understand what I'm saying? Now, at this point, this group, the Republic group, the anti-monarchy group, they're the ones that turn up, with the placards saying, King Charles is not my king, etc., etc. They're pushing ahead through some legal route to try and make or form at least some kind of case that Prince Andrew should be taken to court. Again, you don't need to be the brains of Britain to understand how this is already a failure, and he is simply just trying to get some publicity, probably donations, and again, I have to say allegedly, but the bottom line is, and just to spell it out in case people don't get it, Prince Andrew has said nothing, right? He's not spoken either way. The only information that they have on record is the BBC interview with Newsnight. Now it appears that he has changed the timeline of exactly when he switched from the relationship with Epstein. That's the only time frame. And so far, what's only come out is one email regarding Sarah Ferguson, of which she wrote to Epstein after that alleged conviction, right? At that point. So the Republic group can push all they want. Until there's a formal arrest warrant, then there's simply nothing that they can do. Now, there's options, as I've said. Prince Andrew could decide to come forward himself and tell his version of events. Now, remember, as I pointed out, Andrew is in the very, how can I put this? He's now got her story. right? So Virginia Guffray is now in print. This is her version of events. He could easily, dissect that and sort of come back and say, well, I was at this point, that would be impossible to meet. And also, if you remember, the person who's still incarcerated in all of that, Ghislaine Maxwell, has refuted that that picture is in fact genuine, the infamous picture. So while these are sort of grabbing headlines by authors who say, well, if you knew the rest, they would be in prison. What I would say is, well, okay, if you're that confident, and remember, a lot of these authors say, well, I've seen or I've read or whatever. The legalities are not stopping you. If you are so cast iron on this, let's protect those poor people that don't have an answer, that have not been allowed to speak in the public domain. Produce your proof, and then this could be concluded, not just for the public, but of course for the royal family too. But as ever, what you get with these people is half a story. What I'm telling you is they are the facts. There is nothing concrete to arrest the Duke of York yet, right? And at this point, if there was, then somebody would have made that. The anti-monarchy group are simply doing this to rise up and try and get, oh yes, we should get rid of the monarchy. And as I said at the start of the video, why should that be the case, that you want to get rid of the monarchy just because of the, shall we say, bad, terrible behaviour of one or two members? You see how this works. Always good, as I often say here, chums, to clear this up. And as it develops, I will let you know exactly what's happening. Neil Sean, Kensington, London.